Hi, and welcome to Dax Chats. In this episode, I'm getting to speak with somebody that's been around the traps for so long. He's been a duo with McAllister Kemp, Tailgate Drive. He's done solo stuff. He skipped off to Nashville in the middle of a COVID, in the middle of a pandemic, I should say, and had nothing to do. So he sat down and wrote a song, and it's called Soundtrack. And today, Dax chats to Troy Kemp. And here he is. G'day, Troy.
G'day, Dax. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good, man. How are you?
I am awesome, mate. It's so good to see your beautiful face.
It hasn't been that long. You know, we did speak we did speak to you the last time, about a month or so. No, 2 months ago. I think 2 months ago, yeah. About your travels to Nashville. That was an interesting journey for you.
It really was, buddy. Yeah, to sort of move over here in the middle of like you said, a COVID pandemic. We had to apply to the government to leave because when we got approved to move to Nashville in March this year before COVID hit, they gave us a temporary visa, which they said it said in our passport you need to be out by the middle of July. Otherwise, this visa is nil and void. So
you'd have to start all over again.
What's that?
And then you'd have to start all over again.
That's right. So we didn't want to go through it took us 2 years to get the whole thing done in the first place. It cost a lot of money and it was a lot of heartache and roadblocks along the way, mate. So the fact that we got here was really cool. It's now been 6 months. We are settled. We've got ourselves a house. We moved over here with 5 suitcases and now we've got a nice little apartment that's full of furniture, and we bought ourselves a car, and we're meeting some great people, and we're catching up with all the Aussies that live here, and starting to get some gigs. So there's light at the end of the tunnel, buddy.
I did see on your socials the other day that you caught up with some pretty influential Australians. One of them being Tommy Emmanuel.
Oh yeah, you've been stalking me, mate. Here I I do it to you as well, don't you worry. But no, man, I went. Stewie French invited me out to a place called the Station Inn, which is just literally 5 minutes walk from my house here down in the area called the Gulch in Nashville. Here, it's a really cool area. It's a beautiful old traditional country bar, and there was a band called 45 RPM, and there was 8 people on stage, pedal steel, fiddle, acoustic guitars, cowboy hats, and everyone sang, and they were just incredible musicians, man. And so Stewie says, I'm going to see this band. The guitar player in the band's so old, his name's Greg, and he's played on all the big records in Nashville over the years. But he doesn't drive real well at night. He can't see real well. So this guy actually teaches Sonny Cornish how to play guitar. So as a favour, Stewie says, look, mate, I'll drive you to these gigs because it's his chance to sit in and watch these legends play anyway.
Yep.
So he said, Kemper, you should come and check it out. He said, it's not your kettle of fish at all. He said, but I think you'll dig it. It's not your style of country. But, mate, I sat there just in awe of these people. And, of course, I've got respect for traditional country, even though not what I personally do, I still think it's amazing. And of course, Tommy rolled in because Stewie had told him. And the next thing I'm standing between Stewie French and Tommy Emmanuel drinking beers and chatting with them, just going, look at my life right now. Like, it's just
absolutely.
Like, is this happening? Is this happening? feeling like the most untalented person in the room for sure, but mate, it's such a cool thing. And Tommy
you can't talk about that. You're a talent like nobody else. You're gonna be huge over there, I tell you.
Mate, I'll tell you what, mate. Tommy's just an utter gentleman. He was just so great to chat with, and it was really cool, mate. So of course I had to take the selfie and put it up on my Instagram page to make life look amazing, as you do. So
absolutely.
I know it was a really fun night, and hopefully I can catch up with him again sometime soon. It'd be good.
So you've obviously when you first got there was no work, no nothing. You've had to rely on doing Facebook live shows every fortnight to try and pay the rent and try and get some money for some jacks to keep the jacks flowing. But more recently, you have been out and done a couple of shows. I've seen a couple of shows at Pucketts where you did a solo show at Pucketts a couple of weeks back, and just last week you did a show with Katrina Burgoyne as a duo show. Awesome stuff. Good to see you getting out there.
Thank you, mate. Yeah, it's good. I mean, I was lucky enough to, it was actually, Katrina was, she was actually approached probably 2 or 3 months ago to do a gig one night for Pucketts, as she's been doing for a few years over here. And she wasn't available to do it. So she gave the guy, Ricky, my number. And she said, Ricky, call Troy. He must have jumped on and looked at my Facebook page first. He rings me and said, look, I got your number of Katrina. I've checked out your stuff. Like your sound. Can you do Pucketts tomorrow night? And I'm like, well, dude. And believe it or not, I couldn't do it because I was going to actually watch another band play. I'd already bought the tickets. I was pretty excited. I was going with some friends. I said, man, I'm so sorry. I'd love to be playing for you. I said, please keep me in mind for future gigs. And 3 days later, he rang me back and said, can you do next weekend? And I'm like, count me in. I mean, I don't want to say no a second time. So I went out to Pucketts at Franklin, which is half an hour out of town. I had a great night. It's just an hour and a half show, and it's just an hour and a half straight to a restaurant full of people, and they're all sitting down, and you've got a tip jar at the front. So I had to learn how to engage with these people and ask them where they were from and just be the entertainer and say, look, I'm playing for tips, and I haven't done this before. So if you want to give me, if you want to leave me a tip, I'd appreciate it, just so I can feed my wife this month. But but if you don't want to, just sit back and enjoy the show, So the night went great. They were really happy with me, and they reported back to Ricky and said how happy they were. So from that, I've actually managed to pick up a few other Pucketts restaurants because there's about 6 or 7 around Nashville. I'm actually playing a Nashville Pucketts tomorrow night. So
there you go.
But it was cool and fitting to go back and do a show with Katrina last week at Franklin Pucketts because that's the one that she lined me up for in the first place. And we had a lot of fun. She's an amazing friend and a great entertainer. And I think we should do more together because it's just the Cat and Campy show. I think it'll be fun.
Yeah. So before we get on to your stuff, a couple of things that have come out recently that you've been involved with, a video clip with Glenn Bidmead's new track, live what's it called? Live Another Day. There you go.
Another Day,
yeah. So
I did guest star in that alongside yourself.
Correct.
So,
alongside myself. I wish I'd had this studio set up when I did it. It would have looked a whole lot better.
I think what you did was cool. I mean, I think obviously everybody was sending in videos to be a part of this thing, and there was just different vibes from everybody. There was people in their lounge rooms mucking around with their kids, and I was on the roof singing with Nashville behind me, and you were doing your thing in your lounge room, and and it just worked. It feels fun. It was just fun to watch, and I finally got the final. As I said, we're talking off screen here before, and we've both seen the final product recently, and Glenn's been a friend of mine for a long time, and I'm just happy to be seeing him doing some good things, and whatever I can do to help Glenn Bidmead, I always will, because he did so much for me early days. And like I told you, man, the very first thing I did in country music was go to the Star Maker in 2007. And I actually used one of Glenn's songs that he'd written in the studio. He'd recorded it. We took his voice off it. We put my voice on it, a song called One for the Road. I sent it into Tamworth for the Star Maker, and I made the top 20, and I didn't win that year. Cat Southern won that year, but that was my first taste of Tamworth, and obviously from that I ended up in the Johnny Cash show with McAllister and a few other guys. McAllister Kemp was bored from that, and the rest is history. So I kind of owe my country music career a little bit to Glenn Bidmead. So least I could do is be in his video, man, and I hope a lot of people get on and watch it and enjoy it. It's a really cool song.
Well, as you know, I've just done a co-write with Glenn Bidmead last week, so we're looking forward to something new coming out hopefully very soon.
Yes.
And another thing you did before we get on to this amazing song, another thing you did is you co-wrote a song with a young lady who's not even 18 years old now, and she's still going to school, but she's just released her brand new single called Bouquet, which was co-written by you, Miss Trinity Woodhouse.
Yes, Trinity. She's a girl I met because she's from the Newcastle area, and obviously before I moved to Nashville, she started coming to some of my local gigs with her parents because like you said, she's still in school, who are very supportive of her and great people. And mate, they sort of approached me, and I said we'd like sort of, can you sit with Trinity and maybe start write a song, So we sat down and we wrote. God, we've written probably 2 or 3 songs before we actually got to Bouquet, and the other songs are really cool as well. I hope she releases those one day. But Bouquet was the last song that we sent. And like you said earlier, she came in she said, I don't know what I want to write about today, but I like the word bouquet. And I'm like, oh my God, where do I go with this? So you've got to, so you need to come up with some sort of story that's going to work and then suit her age bracket. You know what I mean? Because, it just became the story of, I guess, a guy who, I guess she's pretty much telling this guy, I don't need the diamonds and the pearls and all this fancy stuff. I'd just be okay with the bouquet, as if to say, and I think essentially by the end, the bouquet becomes the wedding bouquet and they get married. So it's a cool little story, and she's done a really cool little video with it. And, Lynn Botel and a whole bunch of people guest star in it, and it sounds great. And I wish you all the best with it, because she's definitely a talent that's going to shine a lot. She's going to have a big future. So I'm really excited for her.
Absolutely. Now let's get on to yours. You've got a brand new song out, and this one's a bit of a crazy thing. I was looking back at some songs that have referenced music in the past, and I thought I'd get all done up with my AC/DC t-shirt and my denim jacket, and this is my soundtrack, buddy.
Dressed all of a sudden.
So that's why I grew the hairs specifically for this interview. You've created this song called My Soundtrack. It's called Soundtrack, and it references something like 36 different country songs. Let's talk about Soundtrack.
Okay, cool. Soundtrack. Yeah, it was essentially, I started, the song, first came to fruition. I started working on Soundtrack. And this is a song that I wrote by myself too. Like a lot of stuff I write of my own. Even the songs, a lot of the songs pretty much all of the songs I've released in the last 5 to 10 years in country music have all been co-writes. So I took it upon myself to, the challenge of writing my own song to release. So I'd come up with this little guitar part, which I was showing you earlier, this little riff that I really dug. And I just thought, this is kind of fun, repeat, as country pop does. And so I was, so I'm thinking that's a cool riff. I think it stands on its own. People are going to recognize that as the Soundtrack riff. I just wanted to make sure that I had something, or a song riff. I just had to make sure that I had lyrics that were cool enough. So I was sitting down one day and I was writing a song about, let's bring the guys and we'll get the girls over and we'll drink beer. And I'm like, no, that's just been done a million times in country music. So I've got to be smarter, And then it just hit me. I said, I looked at my list of song titles I've got in my phone, just of ideas that I might, approach down the track, or so have a go at. So I saw the word soundtrack. I was like, this is our soundtrack. Fix a drink and weave. And I just started spitting out lyrics, and I realized I'd sung 2 song titles or something like that. So suddenly I'm like, then a dive bar, burn a beer money, a little bit of chicken fried. And I'm like, okay, this is gonna be interesting. So I just basically I just went straight to Google, and I'm like, okay, popular artist, song titles, boom, and then just started looking at them all, and just going to artists that I personally like as well. I want to make sure there's a song in there by Jason Aldean or Chris Jansen, and I had to make sure.
We back.
I had to make sure that I paid homage to Keith and Keith Urban and Morgan Evans, because they're my fellow Aussies over here. So they got mentioned together in the bridge section. So I just got to work and then tried to write a story of a young couple in the moment, sort of living their life, telling their story through the song titles. But also those songs are also the soundtrack to their life. So that was the whole premise of the song. So I just had to make sure I got all the lyrics in order, and I got it all around the right way, and the song titles in the right order. And in the end, I realized I had 2 songs by John Party and 2 songs by Little Big Town. So I had to change those for other songs like Late in the Game. And in the end, I ended up with a song and I didn't even know how many song titles were in it in the end. I had to go back and count it myself. And I'm like, oh, wow, there's 36 song titles in here. And I just thought it was a cool idea, man. I think people might latch onto this, that we're all country music fans. These are the songs that we're listening to in our own lives as well. So I'm sort of hoping it will become a bit of a theme song for country music as much as it is, a single for me, So it hit the ground running. I released it, I guess, October 16 last week, and I've just hit a week today, I guess, and I'm at about 15,000 streams on Spotify, and I don't know what it's doing on Apple Music and other things, but it seems to be a good start, and I'm getting lots of positive feedback and people sharing it on Instagram and people talking about it and sending me messages saying, we love your new song. And so, mate, thanks for getting me on and talking about it today, because everything helps.
Absolutely.
And but I'm really proud of it, man. I'm sort of happy to have a new song out. It's just a bit of fun. I'm already working on another one, which is going to come out in December, and then I've got another one coming out after that in February. So I'm just going to start banging out a song like every 2 months. So I think you need to do that to keep your numbers up on Spotify and your listenership. I think it's just a singles driven industry these days, as you would know. So I'm writing hard, and I'm recording with a guy over here named Ben Flanders. And do you know Mike Flanders? Have you heard of him?
No.
So Mike Flanders is a guy that's been living in Nashville for 20 years. He's an Aussie. He moved over here 20 years ago, and he's a producer. He was working with a publishing company over here. I think that fell over, but he basically stayed here and just done production for the last 20 years here, and with his wife and his 3 kids. And Ben Flanders is one of his kids, the eldest. He's like in his mid-20s. Gun little guitar player. He plays for a guy named Scott Stapp, who was the lead singer of Creed. Remember Creed?
Oh, yeah, I know Creed.
He tours around America.
It's my soundtrack.
Exactly, me too. So he plays all around America in the big stadiums with Scott playing as his lead guitarist. He's really good. And but at the moment, obviously with COVID, he's at home doing nothing. But it turns out he's a really great little producer. So I said, mate, I've got this song called Soundtrack. Do you want to help me with it? I went in. 2 weeks later, we were done. He sort of brought in a great Nashville drummer, and his brother played bass, and his dad, Michael, the guy that's been here for 20 years, he played pedal steel. I played acoustic and sang. We both did a bit of electric. He did the solo, pieced it together, and Soundtrack is out. So, mate, I just hope people enjoy it, that they give it a listen and hopefully download it so I can make another 4 cents. And
That's the way it is.
And just share it around and tell their friends about it. So if you're listening out there, download Soundtrack or stream it and tell everybody about it.
Put it on your playlists, because that gets more traction. If people are putting it on their playlists, that's even better. Because I noticed you are on the Fresh Country playlist at the moment, which is fantastic.
Yeah, my good friends at Spotify, I say that because I hope they're listening. But the people at Spotify were kind enough to put me on Fresh Country, and it's really, mate, it's really cool to land on there, because that really helps a song get its start. So I was very fortunate, because that's not easy. And I've had songs that haven't landed on Fresh Country, and it hurts when it doesn't. So I'm grateful for this one, and I hope it goes well. And you said the playlist thing. I actually. Alicia, my wife, she suggested that I start a playlist called Our Soundtrack, which is what you said before. So if you go to my Spotify page, you can Troy Kemp Music. You can check out my soundtrack playlist, which has Soundtrack at the top of it, my song, and then the 36 songs underneath it that are actually mentioned in the song. So you can listen to all those songs. It's actually a really cool playlist. Minus Dive Bar, the very first song of the thing, because I think it's a Garth Brooks thing, and Garth Brooks doesn't have any music on Spotify. So
correct. Yeah. That's right. I was going to talk about that, because the first lyric in the song is Dive Bar, we can't listen to it anywhere. It's a song by Garth Brooks and Blake Shelton.
Correct.
And because of Garth Brooks's association to it, it can't be on Spotify, Apple Music, or any of those streaming platforms. You can only get it through Garth Brooks's own services, which is now specifically with Amazon.
Okay, there you go. A little plug for Garth Brooks there as well. So I hope he's sending you royalties for that, mate.
He better.
Yeah.
One thing I want to know. I mean, it's only been a week old right now, but do you think, have you had any reaction from the artists that you referenced in the song?
I haven't, and it'd be nice to think that down the track I would. But Troy Kemp is still a little unknown in Nashville. I mean, whilst I've had a good career back home, I'm here as a newbie. You know what I mean? I've got to earn my stripes. And if you said to any of those guys, oh, I imagine a majority of them, they'd say, who the hell's Troy Kemp? You know what I mean? So it's just that I hope that one day, the song is big enough that they might go, oh my God, my song's in that song, So,
yep.
And I hope that's the cool thing, and they don't come after me and want to sue me for using their title. So I could be up for 36 lawsuits.
That would be a damn shame, because it's a brilliant song. And I believe you've got some other stuff coming out. I believe obviously you've been writing another song that should be out, as you just said, around December. But you've also got some new McAllister Kemp stuff coming. You've also got a duo with Jane Denham coming. So you're getting yourself around. You're spreading yourself out there still, even though you're in Nashville.
Oh, mate, yeah, I mean, they're all great friends. I love everyone that I've always been involved with back there, and I had a lot of fun doing "Hung Up on You" with Jane, so it just made sense to do another one. Obviously, the McAllister Kemp thing has been reborn, and I'm excited to do some new things with him. I wouldn't be surprised if I do another song with Damo from Viper Creek as Tailgate Drive. Yeah, so there's a lot in the works, man. But and I guess for me, like, I sort of thought, if I can be doing all that stuff back there, I go back to do McAllister Kemp shows back there, or Tailgate Drive, or jump up and do something with Jane. I can do that. That can be my Aussie thing. But over here, I just concentrate on being Troy. You know what I mean? And that's kind of a nice way to do it. And so I'm working hard at that. I'm starting to meet some great songwriters over here, and I'm fortunate that the building I live in has a songwriting room downstairs, so I can book it, get the guys to come to my apartment, because most of Music Row is still shut. It's still like a ghost town up there, and you can't get into the official songwriting room. So I can get these songwriters to my apartment. We go down there and we hang out for 3 or 4 hours, and been banging out some cool songs in the last couple of weeks. And I'm literally doing sort of 5 or 6 songs a week at the moment. It takes a lot out of your head, it's fresh ideas and trying to come up with new stuff all the time. And to the point where you just don't even know what you've done. You've got to go back through the last couple of weeks of your life just to see if there's a good song there somewhere, you know what I mean? And,
well, I that's the one thing I don't get about, the whole Nashville experience is, like, when it comes to me writing a song, it depends on, when I have the feeling. It's not like I can't just, stuff comes to my head every day, but I just can't rattle off a song every day, sometimes it'll take me 2-3 months, a year, 2 years, depending on how I feel as to writing a song. But, the Nashville experience is a lot different, where you're out there plugging away every day, writing new songs.
Yeah, it's a wild thing, and it's a forced write. You're forcing your brain to think really hard for 4 hours, and you're in a room and you're with other guys. Thank God you got guys to bounce off, so ideas are coming out pretty quick and fast. And then you got to be polite about other ideas. If you don't like them, you've got to go, oh, that's really cool, man, but maybe we try this. And and then you got to be the same with me. That's cool, Troy, but what if we try this? And that's the beauty of co-writing, and it's all about just finding the middle ground so that everybody's happy, and compromise can be the word I'm looking for there. But it's a bizarre way to write, and you got to be careful not to fall into that. Here's another song about tailgates and Dixie cups and feet on the dash and back roads. You know what I mean? You need to sort of think. Let's try and think a bit more real. So I've been really trying to do that a bit more in the last couple of weeks. I think beyond soundtrack and maybe even the next song, I'm probably going to start to get a little bit more serious with my lyrics and what I want to say. So I think there's obviously stuff in me. I'm even toying with the idea of actually after my next single, the next one after that, thinking about doing the song I wrote for Alicia as our wedding on our wedding day. I wrote her a song which I sang to during my speech called "Happy Ever After." I've played it a few times on my live streams, and people are like, "Man, you got to record that song." So I think that could happen soon. I'm sort of starting to toy with that idea, and I might really strip it back and just do piano and like orchestral stuff, which I haven't done before. So it'll be a different a different Troy song. You know what I mean? And that,
Well, you know what I still think. I mean, yes, that's a beautiful song. I have heard that, but I know it's not your song, but I keep telling you, you've got to get it out there before someone else grabs it, because it is a brilliant song. It will do fantastic in the States. It will do fantastic worldwide. And I do say that Keeper has to be something that is high priority for you.
I know you do like that song. I know, and it is a ripper song, man. I'm going to keep her well kissed, keep her held tight. I'm going to keep her. I think it's hooked up or wrapped up for the rest of her life.
Yep.
You know, the one you'd be a fool to throw back the minute you meet her. Yep. Yeah, she's a keeper. You know, yep. And I think it's a cool song. Yeah, so I haven't forgotten, brother.
Cool song. Whoever wrote it, kudos to them. It is, and as I keep telling you, if you don't get it out there, some other person will grab it because it is that good.
Yeah, I mean, that happened to me many years ago. I got shown 2 songs back in the day from P Music when I was living in Sydney, very early days of my country career, and I was given these 2 songs by a guy named Jamie. One was called Raining on a Sunday. One was called You'll Think of Me. And I knocked them both back, thinking that I can write better songs than that.
Good on you, Keith. Good on you, Keith Urban. You just take those.
Needless to say, then Golden Road comes out, and they're both on there, and they both go number 1. So if that's probably the biggest miss of my career, that would have to be that's the biggest mess up I've made. But so yeah, maybe Keeper's another one of those, mate. I don't want Keith to cut that one as well, so I better get in there and get it done.
That's it. That's it. Well, I know you've got lots of things coming up, and I know you've got another interview in about 10 minutes. So it's time for us to say goodbye. Thank you very much for your time. And I hope Soundtrack does very well for you, because it is a ripper song.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate you having me on. I love you, man. I appreciate your support, and I appreciate you helping me out and getting the word out there. And hopefully we can do this again. I think the new studio looks fantastic, man.
Thank you.
And it's just great to see you. Give my love to the family, and take care of yourself. I think last time we spoke, you weren't real well. You had a bit of a cough and a bit of a bad throat. So
that comes and goes. That comes and goes. Yeah, no, I did have a bit of a flu back then. That's right.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's good. But mate, it's great to see you. Thanks again. Let's stay in touch on Facebook Messenger, and
obviously, and maybe let's do a co-write. Who knows?
Let's Zoom right. Let's do it. Seriously, we'll do it, man. So I'll get my people to talk to your people. That'll be us just talking to each other, and we'll do that in the next while. Okay.
All right. No worries. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was Troy Kemp, and his brand new song is called Soundtrack. It is on all your major streaming platforms, of course, Spotify, Apple Music, what have you. You can download it from iTunes. Please do. Please put it on your Spotify playlists, or better still, please go to our website, countrythunder.com.au, and request it straight from the player on our website, because it's playing on the Country Thunder Network. And what's more, you can vote for it in the Country Thunder 20. Just go to the voting form at the top of the page. This is DJ Dax. You've been watching Dax Chats, and we're proudly presented by these people right here, Neon Horse in Stanhope, Victoria. Bye for now.